Hey, everybody, welcome to episode number 29 of the Debt-Free Dad podcast. Today, we've got a special guest who's going to be sharing how her and her husband, check this out, saved and paid off $37,682.67 and built an emergency fund and bought their very first home in 1 year. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Debt-Free Dad podcast, where we're helping normal, everyday people learn how to save money and kick debt so they can live a happier and stress-free life. Now here's your host, Debt-Free Dad, Brad Nelson.
Hey, everybody. You can find me on Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, and Instagram. Just search Brad Nelson, Debt-Free Dad, and we would love to connect with you on one of those social media platforms. And welcome to today's show. You know, after years of helping people learn how to take control of their finances, it's fascinating to me how many people doubt that you can actually have success with money. It's crazy how many people are just kind of stuck in this mindset that there's no other way than to struggle day in and day out, constantly living paycheck to paycheck. You're always going to have payments. You're always going to have financial stress. It's just what being an adult is all about. And I can kind of relate to that mindset because I used to have the same one many years ago. But guess what? It doesn't have to be that way. You can make other choices. You could start over and create a completely different life, a life without debt, payments, and financial stress. That life really does exist. It is out there. You can do it. Yes, it's going to take a lot of hard work. Yes, you're going to have to make some major changes to make it happen, but it is possible. And to show you it's possible, today I am bringing on one of my Roots members, Erin Porter. Erin and her family got started with our free workshop just a little over a year ago, the same free workshop that we talk about on this podcast often. And then ultimately, Erin and her family decided to say, you know what, we need to invest in ourselves, and they decided to join my membership program, Roots Personal Finance, in just July of 2019. So literally, as this episode is airing, we're talking almost 1 year, almost to the day. And check this out. Erin and her family are normal, hardworking people. Erin is an office associate, and her husband, Zach, works in construction. They have 3 kids, but what's not normal is that they wanted something different for their lives, for their finances, and for their family. And you guys, I'm just blown away by what they were able to do just the last 12 months. And honestly, for me, it's been an honor and a privilege to have them be a part of Roots and to be able to follow their story and see what they've been able to do. I mean, these guys, it's been motivating, not only just to my members, but also to me, to see somebody say and stand up and say, no more, I want better. We're going to go after better. We can do this. And they have done anything and everything that they could possible to achieve these types of results. So, hey, Erin, welcome to today's show. I've always appreciate you taking some time to share a little bit about your story. And I know we haven't talked a little bit about your new purchase that you just made. I know you're super busy right now, and you're going to talk a little bit about why. So it's really cool that you were able to hang out with us and share a little bit about your guys' journey.
Yeah, I'm glad you have me on here.
So let's talk a little bit. Let's go way before all the success you guys have had over the last 12 months. And let's talk a little bit about, you know, how you grew up with this money stuff. And you know, I think a lot of the reasons why a lot of us struggle is just because some of us just weren't really properly shown how to manage money or how debt works, or even if you use debt responsibly or whatever it might be, or how budgeting works, or, you know, how important saving is and how important it is to do it early. Like, there's just all those little things that, you know, well, I shouldn't say little, they're big, but we just weren't really ever properly shown. Can you share a little bit about your experience with money growing up and really kind of maybe how that played a role in maybe how you managed your money early on as you were an adult?
Yeah, with my childhood, my parents really never taught me and my sister a lot about money. They figured it was adult stuff, and so they didn't really include us into any of it. So learning a lot about money was not a major topic with my family. I do remember when I was younger, knowing my mom and dad did have some struggles, but couldn't comprehend quite what it was until I remember my mom cutting up credit cards. And that's something that did stick with me. She was cutting them up and she said, never ever get credit cards. They're nothing but bad. And so I was always scared of them, not knowing what they were. So I really never touched credit cards until a couple years ago is when I opened my first credit card, and she was right. It was bad. And I ended up racking it up right away. I knew nothing about them, so I didn't know what interest was. Honestly, I thought interest was if you didn't make your minimum payment, then you would be taxed interest. I didn't realize interest was interest.
Yeah, it was building on the revolving debt. Yeah.
Yep.
So what can you just share a little bit about so when you open that credit card up, what was the reasons behind some of that? Like why did you make that choice?
Not having enough money in my bank accounts, always living paycheck to paycheck. So when we really wanted to buy something new and we had no money, we didn't know how to go about it. So we found out about credit cards. And so we're like, oh yeah, we'll just get a credit card, buy what we want, throw it on the credit card and pay it later. But we never paid it later.
Yeah. And that's tough. So obviously living paycheck to paycheck and just getting by all the time. And you eventually kind of heard about our free course and free workshop that we offer, which is Life Without Payments, which ironically enough is running the week that this podcast is airing, which is awesome. But another member of ours, Christina, who we've also had on the podcast, and she started talking a little bit about her experience with working with myself and the Roots program and some of that other stuff. Like, what were some stuff that she was sharing, and what were your initial thoughts about some of the ideas that we were sharing in that free course, and what kind of stuck with you on that, and maybe wanted to give some of this a little bit of a try?
Yeah. At first I seen her traveling a lot, doing a lot of independent stuff. And in the back of my head, it was like, oh, can you really afford that? Because I'm used to everybody just slapping on credit cards. We were making really decent money at that time. And so we just portrayed that we were just living this wonderful life and just buying whatever we wanted. And I seen Christina doing her traveling and everything. And I would ask her random questions about it. And she was not pushy about it, because she knew she would scare me off. But she told me a couple different things. The first one was having a budget, and I thought that was impossible to have. And then she would tell me a bunch of things on like the debt snowball. And I started to ask a little bit more questions, to the point where she got comfortable to challenge me on and told me about you, and then to get $1,000 emergency fund. I laughed at her. And when she challenged me to get it in 2 weeks, I laughed even harder. I told her it was impossible, and I made up so many excuses. And so she would get me with, do you have Netflix? Like randomly, I'm like, yeah, I got Netflix. Everybody has Netflix. She's like, oh, well, that's $15 that could be in your pocket. And I was just like, I couldn't, I couldn't fight back on it. And so I would just make up excuses. I was like, no, it's impossible. What you're saying is impossible. And so she just kind of backed off, and I just continued to watch her with her freedom, and then started asking more questions. And then she just like, Erin, try out the free course. And the first couple things was a debt snowball. I was so hooked to that. That is my favorite thing. When I'm huge with numbers. I love numbers. And when I seen the way it worked, I was just, oh my gosh. I couldn't shut up about the debt snowball. And do you see how it works? You just add and add and add. And, but then, yeah, and then the budget, that was a hard one. And I was trying to do a lot of it on my own. I was watching the free course, and I was kind of watching it. And Christina kept asking me, like, did you watch this? Did you watch this? And yeah, no, I don't have time. I don't have time. And I made up excuses. And once again, she's like, so do you watch movies right before bed? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh, that would be a perfect time to listen to your podcast. And I would just get stuck again. So, I mean, she had all the answers, and there was nothing else I could really fight on it. So, I mean, I stopped fighting it, and I listened to them. And then I was like, well, I'm just going to try to do this on my own. And it just wasn't working out. And so she convinced me to sign up. And I thought it was a little hard, because I was like, why is somebody trying to help me get out of debt make me pay for this? So But it's been the best investment I think we've ever had in our lives at this moment, because it helped us tremendously to join and be done with a free trial one and then go into the group.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to clarify, what Erin's saying is that she did originally participate in what we call as our free workshop, Live Without Payments, and then about 4 times a year, and that's actually going on right now this week. We're as this episode airs, it's actually going to be July 13th, and we're actually open enrollment for Roots right now, which is exactly the program that Erin joined 1 year ago. So so you joined Roots, and again, exactly just almost to the date 1 year ago. And again, you haven't shared your numbers just yet, but would you have ever imagined all the stuff that's happened in the last year would have happened?
No. No. Seeing the numbers, finally, I'm just like having it on paper in front of me. I was like, first off, seeing the debt, I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. And then being able to see the numbers now, I'm blown away by it. And a lot of people are ashamed of their debt, and I was too. But now the way that we're going, I'm like telling everybody,
Yeah, right.
do you know how much we paid off? Do you know how much we paid off? I'm really proud of how far we've came with it all. And joining the Roots community, I'm one that I'm going to use every dollar of what I buy, I'm going to make it worthwhile. And so we jumped in full force with it. If I'm going to spend the money for it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it 100%. Yeah. So, I mean, we made quite a few sacrifices this last year, and they've definitely paid off.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm hoping you can share a little bit about some of the big changes, because you talked about little things like Netflix. And again, some people might be listening to this and be like, oh, I can't cut out Netflix. Well, maybe you can cut out other things. And I think the idea is that, nothing changes unless something changes, right?
Right.
And you guys are a perfect example of being willing to change, make sacrifices. And maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the big ones that you guys have made. But before we get there, I just to kind of put a little meat to this, what have you guys been able to save and pay off in just the last 12 months, so people can kind of get an understanding of really how much progress you guys have actually made?
So to save is a hard one, because there's many different ways we've saved, cutting out coffees and rock stars and buying lunches every day. Doing the math on how much we were spending on lunches was, it's so hard to say, about $600 a month.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, because we were each buying about $10 to $15 lunches a day, and coffees and rock stars. Savings, we really just kept it at the $1,000 emergency and threw everything at debt. Every dime we could went to debts. So within the last couple months, we saved up, and we have now about $5,000 in our account. And in the last year, we've paid off $32,682.
That is crazy. In just 1 year. So between the $5,000 and the $32,000 in debt, that's like $37,682 and some change. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Those numbers blew me away. And by the way, like you mentioned, your friend Christina got you hooked up on this, and she had some impressive numbers too. But then you guys are right there with her in what you guys are doing. Like, it is unbelievable what you guys have been able to do over the last 12 months. And I think what has impressed me is like you said earlier, you guys just got in and you just got to work. And we try to almost implore our members to take that attitude. It's like, if you just trust us, hold our hands through this, we're going to make you do some scary stuff, but you're going to see some massive results. And you guys were willing, you guys just arms wide open, we'll do it. And you did it. And it shows that it just does work. It's awesome. So congratulations to you guys on that. That is amazing.
Thank you. Christina I trust her with everything. I've known her since high school. And so when I see that she always makes very smart financial everything decisions, she thinks everything out. She plans everything out. So seeing her do this and trusting her, I'm like, okay, it obviously has to work, because she's a very intelligent person. So I trusted the way that I trusted her word on all of it and what she was saying to do. And so I was like, all right, if you're saying this is good, then obviously I trust you on this. And she was 100% right with all of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just to share real quick, what do you guys do for a living? Like, what's your family like? Because I want people to say like, oh, there's something really different about them that helps them do that. That's different than me. I mean, you guys are a pretty typical family. There's nothing, I mean, share that a little bit.
I'm just working in an office with 3 guys, and we sell windows, doors, and molding. And I mean, I'm just content with myself and just work. Zach is in the construction industry, and he drives trucks and works with all kinds of different kinds of construction. So
yeah, and you guys got some kids, and
we have 3 kids. We're very outdoors. That's a lot of an investment is being outdoors. Bows and guns are not cheap.
So again, just to confirm though, I mean, just again, 3 kids working fairly normal jobs. So anyone that's out there that's saying, I can't do this, I beg to differ. You really can. And it's really all about making some changes and talk a little bit about that, Erin, about some changes. We mentioned sacrifice, like what we're going through this process over the last 12 months. What do you think were some of the big things that, because people are probably asking, what did you do to pay off 32 grand in 12 months? Tell me, give me the info, right? So share with people, what were some of the things that you think made the biggest impact in helping you reach that number in just 1 year?
The biggest change that helped us tremendously would be the fact that we moved in with my father-in-law. We had a really gorgeous 2-story massive house that we absolutely loved, but it wasn't ours. And we always wanted ours. And so we sat down and we really talked it over. I mean, including like the lunches and the coffees and everything else. We realized we were just digging a huge hole with interest. Interest was just piling up, and we were getting nowhere. And so we sat down and we really financially just talked about what we need to do. And we reached out to his dad and we were like, hey, what can we do? Because he's got a lot of rentals. So we were like, hey, maybe you can rent one from him. And he had nothing available, but he said, I'm more than glad to let you guys come and live with me. If this is what you guys are doing and this is your goal, I would be more than glad to support you on this. You could come live with me, pay off your debts, do what you got to do to better your guys' life, because I know you guys work extremely hard. You made some mistakes with credit cards. And so you're welcome to come live with me. So living with his dad would be our biggest sacrifice. We haven't sacrificed anything like, we haven't got rid of our vehicles or anything, because even though that is a really good way to eliminate debt, we learned that we like our trucks a lot.
I'm not listening right now. No, I'm just kidding.
But we did make other sacrifices to have those trucks. We had to sacrifice a lot of different things to have the things that are important to us. So we did move in with his dad was one of the biggest ones, sacrifice that we did have.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. And that's great. I think that's excellent, kind of a viewpoint and mindset that you share, is that you guys focused on the most important things. And too many times we try to make everything the most important thing, and our incomes, but they just can't support that spending. They just can't do it. So you guys obviously picked the vehicles as being some of the most important things. You kept those, but you guys were willing to cut and sacrifice on a lot of other things. And that's what's helped make the progress that you've had. And if anyone's listening out there, that's a perfect way for you to do it. If there's some things that you're not willing to sacrifice on, then, maybe you look at sacrificing on things that just aren't really as important as you think that they are. Talk a little bit about, you mentioned as, you grew up, how you were taught about money. How has your relationship changed with your husband? How has your family dynamic changed? Are you sharing this stuff with your kids? And how has that kind of transformed over the last 12 months?
Our communication has gotten way better. We used to fight a lot over finances. Zach's outlook was, I make the money, I get to do what I want with it. And it was we were both very stubborn with our money, and you only live once. So I would rather have what I want now and pay the sacrifices or later. But now everything is communicated. Every dollar is communicated. and I run the bank account. Like I said, numbers is my thing. I run it. And so he's got to a point where he's like, how am I supposed to buy you something when for like birthdays or Christmas when you know everything going on? So we communicate it. He'll even say like, hey, leave this amount in there. Don't touch it. Don't look at it for a while. And so I trust him on that as well. So he can surprise me with things. We do involve our kids a lot with it, but we don't overwhelm them with the adult problems with money.
Yep.
They know we've made sacrifices. They know we are not poor, but we don't buy just whatever we want anymore. So we started with them kind of like an envelope system, especially with kids being out of school and all of this. They eat everything in the house. So we started with fake money, and we had them do their chores, and then they get paid every week or every other week. It depended on what pay period they wanted. And they had to have a savings, a giving, and a spending. And we made a grocery store for them to buy their snacks. They eat a lot less because they don't want to spend their money.
That is genius, by the way. Genius idea.
Right. They don't want to spend the money on food.
Yeah.
So, and then they have to buy video game time and those kinds of things. We did give them for a while their real money. And when they wanted to go buy something from the store, it was an investment. They couldn't just buy just like $2 toys or whatever. They had to invest into something. They had to plan it out. What do you want to buy? Have it a goal to buy that scooter or whatever you want. And then when you get to that goal, save up as much as you can to buy that investment. So we're teaching our kids about savings and spending and investments and all those kinds of things with it.
Man, we could have a whole show on that. That is just so, so incredible that you guys are doing that with those kids. They, man, that is so, I'm just like, this is so good. But those are the types of things that we need to be teaching our kids. And it's just going to help them start out such a great life managing their money, because they already are starting to create those habits right now. Just the whole idea of you saying like, they don't want to spend all their money on food. They're already making those choices and understanding that there are consequences to your choices. And man, that's awesome. So great. That's such good stuff.
Right.
Good for you guys.
And with the savings part of it, I even had my daughter say, why do we need savings? Like, we don't have any debt, Mom. And so I said, well, sometimes an emergency can happen. You guys do have phones. And if something was to happen, that's your phone, not mine. And they are younger, but so Kayleen actually got on my tablet and accidentally bought an app. And I was like, hey, you know that savings that you have, your emergency fund? I was like, fork it up. So she's like, I'm just glad it's not my spending money.
Oh, what a great learning moment, though. I mean, just such great stuff. Wow, that's awesome. Good for you guys. So share a little bit about, friends and family, talking about this, because like you said, and we see, and not just you, but I mean, even in my own life, just going through this, it's life-changing. It really is. It's freeing. It's stress relief. It's exciting to know that there's going to be future opportunities. It just changes so much in your life. And you want to share that with everybody, and I'm sure you have. What's been some of the kind of the feedback from other people? Because we know the majority of people out there are living like we used to, which is paycheck to paycheck. So some of this might seem a little odd to them. Did you get any pushback or anything from other friends and family outside of kind of your inner circle?
Yes. I had a lot of my friends think we were weird. They were really understanding when I say we don't borrow anymore. It was like, oh yeah, we don't either. Like, not meaning like borrow from people. Like we don't borrow money, period, anymore. A lot of people were understanding. So I kind of backed off a little bit on that, but family, we've had so much support from all of our family have just been so supportive of the way we're doing everything and just telling us how proud they are.
That's awesome. Good for you guys. That's great to have that support system. And we do see that time to time. That's why we asked that question, because I think for people out there who are trying this, if you do get that pushback, you might see both sides. I mean, Erin saw both sides. They might think you're a little weird. And if they do, we always say that means you're on the right track. You guys just did something else really big in just the last, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? And
been about 2 weeks.
can you share a little, because this is a big one. Most people who come into our program, this is one of their number one financial goals, is to get to this point. And you guys did what, along with also saving and paying off $37,000?
Along with paying in cash for a whole wedding that was postponed a whole nother year. We paid cash for all of that too, but we just bought a house.
You just bought a house. So awesome. Way to cap off 12 months, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you think about that. In just 12 months, you probably never imagined being able to accomplish all of that within just 12 months.
The most exciting part of it is 12 months ago, I looked at the house that we bought and I seen that house. I fell in love with this house. And 12 months ago, it was impossible for us to even attempt to try to get this house. And I told Zach, oh gosh, I love this house. I love this house. I would go to work and I would stare at this house all day long. And I knew we could never afford it. And going through and saying, all right, we're making these decisions. We're moving in with his dad. We're going to do what we have to do to buy our own house. I just said, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be with this house. And we started our financial journey. And I'm still like every week checking to see if it's still on Trulia, and it disappeared. And I was so upset. I was like, no, my home is gone. And we just, okay, obviously it wasn't meant to be. And we just continued our journey. But then it showed back up on Trulia. And so I immediately was like, Christina, why is this back up? What's wrong with the house for it to be back up? And they just took it down during the Christmas season because they didn't want to move during Christmas.
Right. Yep.
And it was still a little out of our price range. So we went after a different house, and we just have the mindset, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. We weren't getting our hopes up. Well, the other house obviously was not meant to be. This one dropped $10,000, and we were like, let's try. And I got my dream home that I have wanted for a year now.
That is awesome. What a great story.
Yeah.
Man, that is awesome. So excited for you guys. And I know I saw you guys celebrate that a couple weeks ago, and I just couldn't be more happier for you guys. You guys just have killed it this year and have just done so many amazing things, and then to cap it all off with that. And I know you still got a little bit of work that you guys are working on. And in fact, just this past week, you still went out and paid another $5,000+ off in debt, and it took care of some other stuff. So, but I thought it was just an awesome way to cap off a wonderful year for you guys, and just all the hard work you guys have put in. I couldn't be more thrilled for you guys. It's awesome.
Thank you.
So share with me this, and I was kind of going with this before we talked about the house, and I didn't want to forget to talk about that, but there's some people probably out there listening to this that are just where you were, maybe June of 2019, July of 2019, just a year ago, making those excuses, putting it off. What would you say to someone going what you guys have gone through in the last 12 months, knowing what's possible? What would you say to someone to get them off the fence? And even if it's not joining the workshop or joining Roots or just doing something, what would you say to them to hopefully get them to start doing something?
I would tell them to do a lot of research. I made sure to do a lot of research. I listened to quite a different few podcasts. Try to go through the podcasts where I just had them playing in my ear while I'm at work. I did a lot of research ahead of time. I was on the fence. I'm very stubborn and hard-headed, so it took a lot to convince me on this. I tried the free workshop, and I tried doing it my way. And I learned doing it my way obviously wasn't working. And so I had to just humble myself enough to understand that obviously it's working for other people and my way is not working. So I need help. And so we decided we needed help with our finances. And so we signed up.
Yeah, that is awesome. Awesome. So 12 months, $37,682 saved and paid off, bought your dream home. How's that feel?
Amazing.
All right, Erin, thank you so much for joining us and sharing a little bit of your story. I know you got some moving to do and putting away to do, but I appreciate you taking some time to hang out with us and just share this. I know that there's going to be people out there who are definitely going to be like, I could be there in 12 months or I could be there in 18 months just by hearing this story. So it's awesome that you were able to take some time and share that with us today.
You're welcome. I'm glad I can help.
Hey, so you guys, you just heard Erin's story and what they've been able to do in just 1 year. It is remarkable. Now, here's the thing. I can't promise you that you're going to get the same exact results, but what I can promise you is that if you work on this stuff, your financial life will improve. Now, how much? It really just kind of depends on how much you want to put into it, how much you're willing to sacrifice, and how much hard work you want to put into it. But Erin and her family's story is proof that normal, everyday people can win and end the paycheck-to-paycheck life. It's just a matter of how bad do you really want it. And maybe right now is that time for you. Now, check this out. Roots Personal Finance, the same exact membership that Erin joined just 1 year ago, is open for a summer session here in 2020. And enrollment is going to end this week, Friday, July 17th at midnight. Now, you might be thinking, well, why does it end? Because we're not open all the time. In fact, that's what makes Roots so great, because if we were open all the time, we wouldn't be able to concentrate so much on our members and helping them get these great results that we've been talking about on this show. So we open it up 4 times a year. We bring in a group of brand new members, and we walk them through step by step for that process, the same process that we've been talking about on this podcast. And this is like this podcast, but on steroids. We're going to give you anything and everything you need to help you rid yourself of financial stress and debt. So to get all the details about my debt-crushing and stress-crushing membership, head over to therealdebtfreedad.com/roots to get all of the details. Again, that's therealdebtfreedad.com/roots, ROOTS, to get all the details. And don't wait. The doors close again this Friday, July 17th at midnight. We'll be kicking off our summer session and helping a whole new group of people just like Erin, who started a year ago. We're going to help them kick debt and financial stress for good. And seriously, as you consider this, maybe this is something you want to try, or maybe you've just reached that point in your life where, it's like, I got to try something different. And maybe you've been listening to this show and you've been wanting to maybe take some chances and kick this thing off or take that first step. Roots is the best way in order to make that happen. So think about this question. If you're hesitant, think about where you could be just 1 year from today if you just got started right now. Think about that. Think about what if Erin didn't make the choice to join. $37,000 saved and paid off, bought a house. I mean, just crazy amounts of success she's had this past year. And a lot of it came from hard work, but it also came from guidance, support, re-education, accountability, and that's what Roots Personal Finance is all about. So again, head it over to therealdebtfreedad.com/roots, ROOTS, to get all the details. It closes Friday, July 17th, and I hope to see you on the inside.
Hey, what's this I see? I thought this was a party! Let's dance!
All right. That sound means it's time for the celebration of the show, and we're going to kick it off with Carrie Brogan. Carrie says, I have my emergency fund. Now to hit my nasty credit cards. Huge win for you to build that emergency fund first. That is awesome. Great job.
And Katie Halls, my dog needed to go to the vet, and I was able to move a few things around and pay in cash without touching my emergency fund. Budget looks a little different, but money was there.
Awesome. Huge win.
Shannon Thompson, I've stayed on budget this week. $200 more towards my mini emergency fund. She's halfway there.
Awesome. Great job, Shannon. Christy Wright, I paid off another $1,000 in debt. That included also paying off another car. That is awesome. Huge win, Christy.
And Lori McAllister says it was so amazing to be able to pay bonus bills. Last year, this time, I was robbing this card to pay that bill and paying that card to pay that bill. It is amazing what a difference a year makes, even in a pandemic.
Yeah, it is amazing. And Lori McAllister, they've paid off tens of thousands of dollars of debt in just a year. And think about that, seriously. Right now, during this week, we are launching and having our workshop here and opening up Roots. And if you look at someone like Lori, she started just a year ago. So what could you do in just 1 year? How could that change your life? Maybe it's not tens of thousands of dollars you pay off, but maybe it's building an emergency fund. Maybe it's getting a couple credit cards paid off. Maybe it's getting rid of some monthly payments. But it's amazing what you can accomplish in a year with just some accountability and support. And all of these celebrations are perfect examples of that. So great job, everyone who's working really hard. And hey, thanks for hanging out with us here today. We love your feedback, and it also helps us grow our podcast. Please leave us an honest review in Apple Podcasts. We read every single one of those. And as you know, the Debt Free Dad podcast is here to help you live a happier and stress-free financial life. So if you know someone who could benefit from our show, please give us a share. We appreciate you, and we will see you on an upcoming episode. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Debt Free Dad Podcast. For more free resources to kick debt and financial stress, head over to therealdebtfreedad.com.